Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at NECA's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Metalhead, which is arguably NECA's best figure ever. That's probably too much, but you'll see once we go through it, this figure is really well done. It seems like a basic design because it's a cartoon thing, but they really did a good job on this thing. I'm very impressed. I was not expecting to be impressed, but I am. So there's a lot of stuff going on that's really, really well executed. A couple of things that aren't great. I'll point out all the good and the bad so that you know what you're in for, but it is a strong release. So let's go ahead and get it off the stand and take a closer look. This guy stands just over 17 centimeters, which makes him pretty close to 6 3/4 inches. So he definitely has some size to him. He's a girthy fellow. And he is 100% matte paint, and it looks awesome. Or maybe there's some matte plastic in there too, probably. But either way, point being, it's a nice matte finish, and it looks so good. I do hope that maybe they make an exclusive version somehow, somewhere, like a more exclusive version, some kind of very limited thing. Well, that would be bad. Point being, I want a metallic one. Like, you guys remember the old toy that was all vacuum chrome? That would be sweet, and it had the light piping in the head. This doesn't have the chrome or the light piping. It's not supposed to, but that would be awesome if they had a version that did that. Aesthetically, they nailed it with this guy. They made all the right choices as far as articulation and whatnot to capture the likeness of the character. You can see right here. Yeah. It looks just like it's supposed to, except for two things that do stand out to me, and maybe they were not always this way, but these lights on the chest should be yellow instead of gray as far as I can tell, and then he should have teeth. He does not have teeth. Other than those two things, it is exceptional. If you close the mouth, one of those things goes away, and maybe there were gray lights at some point, or gray dots instead of lights. I don't know, you guys can let me know. I don't know every single change in the drawings that happened in the cartoons, that kind of thing, but really, really well executed. Everything is a nice finish. Cell-shaded style painting. You have the dark gray on the back, light gray on the front, black line work just about everywhere. Very, very well executed. From an aesthetic standpoint, I don't think they could have done better, except for those issues. So I'm going to give it a 9.5 out of 10. It's just exactly what you would want it to be. Nothing stands out as being an issue. It's very, very well done. That's awesome. As far as accessories go, we have the 2 loose hands that come on him in the package. Then we get 2 fist hands and 2 gripping hands. That's all very nice. We also get an interchangeable drill bit for his hand, which is very cool. And we also get a vacuum with a hinge at the bottom, which is pretty cool too. I don't know how many people are actually going to use that vacuum other than for like a photo or something, but hey, they included it. That's nice. And then for this one, I'll show you on camera. His chesticles open up, and you can peg this in, and it pegs in the tab right there, and then there's a little hole in the bottom for the wire, and you get his little laser thingy that pegs into his chest, or it comes out of his chest. So yeah, that's a pretty good batch of accessories. I don't know that there's a whole lot more we could have used, so I'm going to give that a 9 out of 10 as well. So far, they are running on all cylinders with this. Oh, by the way, there's a lever back here. When you flip it, his eyes shoot laser. No, it doesn't do anything, but they did include that, so that's pretty cool too. That scares me. I mean, it's not like it's gonna break by doing this, but if you like drop the figure even and he lands, oof, be very careful. Don't drop him backwards. That's usually the safe place, but be careful. As far as the articulation goes, I do believe it's just a single ball peg. It could technically be a double, I don't know, but the head can lean side to side very nicely. Forward and back, no problem. Can't look up a whole bunch, but it does lean forward nicely. Full rotation. I believe it's just a single ball peg, but that works. And as I showed you, the mouth does open. I wish they'd put a little bit more black in there at the bottom there to hide that, but yeah, I don't know. Without the teeth, it seems weird that his mouth opens, but that's, like I said, one of the issues. It's not a real big deal. For the shoulders, we have our standard ball hinges, so you get your full rotation. It is at a little bit of an angle due to the curvature of the body, but you do get that. And you get your hinge right there. Could be better range. I don't know that it makes that big of a difference on this guy. It's not like he needs to do that much karate, but it looks really good. And as usual, they leaned into the aesthetic rather than the joints. You might want more out of that. That's just the decision they made. You gotta live with it or not. Bicep swivel is a bicep swivel. The elbows are just a single joint It's underneath the elbow band right there. You get just shy of 90 degrees. You can see they painted the plastic for the joint and that pops off, but you can't really tell because it's the same color. So just shy of 90 degrees for the elbow joint, not a ton. Does it rotate there? It doesn't. You do have a wrist swivel and a hinge, so that's fine. Here's something that I didn't notice at first, which I'm really happy that they included. He has a waist twist, which is perfectly well hidden under that belt. You can turn him. You don't get an absolute ton of range, but it's still something you can do, and it's I guess you can get a ton of range. It just takes a little bit of elbow grease. But yeah, it's basically seamless other than the fact that his shell splits. I mean, what are you gonna do? But I'm really glad that they included a waist twist. That's awesome. Okay, now for the hips. Big old ball pegs, which is not usually what they do. Is it a good thing? I think so. They're not loose at all, so I have no issue with that. Obviously, he's limited based on his shell being there, so be aware of that. And you'll notice the legs do this a little bit when I move one, the other one moves. That's just a little bit of play that the ball pegs are experiencing. So it's not that the legs are actually connected like on their previous releases. So you'll be fine on that ball peg, no issues. You do have a thigh swivel. Again, limited posability in the hips because of the design of the character, but as far as the engineering goes, it's fine. Double jointed knees, while you probably won't be able to do much with them, you do get decent range, a little bit better than 90, so that's fine. And then for the ankles, you can see in the back we have a hinge, which lets them go back really far. Going forward, you don't get a ton. It's just better than neutral, so that's definitely a bummer, but you do get an ankle rocker out of it, though the way they did the orange things, it's fairly limited. So again, it's all about the aesthetics. The articulation is enough. I mean, I like that they did it in a way that didn't hurt the character design, because I don't need to be putting him in crazy poses personally, but I know some of you might want to do that, and so the articulation does need to be considered. It is an action figure, and it's very limited, so I'm only going to give the articulation a 6 from a functionality standpoint. From an aesthetics standpoint, you could go 9, because you can't even see any of the joints, not really. So it really just comes down to what you're looking for in the figure. Final verdict on this guy: they did what NECA does. It's an aesthetically wonderful figure with relatively limited articulation and good accessories. So I'm going to give it an overall rating of... I'm going to give you 2 ratings, to be fair. Because it's an action figure and the articulation is limited, I'm only going to go 8. The rest is still really good, and that's still a high rating. If you go into it knowing that the articulation is going to be somewhat limited, and you expect that and you're okay with that, this guy could easily earn a 9. It's relatively limited articulation for sure, but the rest is just about as good as it gets. So 8 or 9, those are still awesome scores, and obviously I recommend you track this guy down. I do believe they're having some kind of extra sale on their website at some point. I saw something about that. I don't know. But they should still be showing up in stores, and it shouldn't be that big of a deal eventually. Everybody panics when these things happen initially, and then everybody's like, oh, we can get them relatively easily eventually anyway. So I don't know about that. We'll see. But you guys, maybe take a breath and give it a minute, and you might be able to get one without turning your hair gray. So anyway, let me know what you guys think about the figure. Let me know what you think about the review. Give it a thumbs up if you liked it. If you didn't, give it a thumbs up anyway. And if you haven't subscribed, you should, because I have new videos out just about every single day, and thousands already on the channel. So make sure you come back for all of that. And in the meantime, keep collecting.